www.kibu.ac.ke. Kibabii University, knowledge for development. NTV continues to bring you great entertainment, news and sports shows. Stay tuned to NTV. For free-to-air set-top boxes and digital TVs, please ensure your aerial is pointed for optimum picture. Then, rescan your set-top box to refresh the channels. When search is complete, scroll until you find your favorite channel under the name NTV or ADN NTV. Choose channel 91 on GoTV, 271 on DSTV, 106 on Star Times, 13 on Zuku, and we're also on Signet. NTV, turning on your world.
Tumekuwa tukizunguka mtaani tukipa loyal customers wa Selector na 1 year supply.
Tumekuwa Keno, Mweke, Remuru, Roiro, Gekoyo, Gong, Ede Umoja.
Karada, tukikupata ukibai Selector pale kwa shop ya mtaani yenyu, you might be the luckiest winner ya 1 year supply.
Mkate ni Selector. Tosha.
Now, you can get your Uber ride with a phone call. Call 0800 722 000 to ride.
Yeah,
How you doing? Conscience I represent to the fullest. We solid, TGM, we solid. My time now. We no fight. Fresh from Kingston, Jamaica. I got a surprise for you. Music. Turn up. How many girl them turn up and I look some?
yeah, conscience. Me know how to pop it, pull up to me, pull up.
In front of every girl, me want you shake.
The Nyeri National Polytechnic is a public national TVET institution offering competency-based education and training courses. We have state-of-the-art equipment in electrical, mechanical, and civil engineering and hospitality. September 2019 intake is ongoing for the following CBET courses: simple automation, lathe machine operator, manual metal arc welding, among others. Apply now and enjoy reduced tuition fee. The Nyeri National Polytechnic. Excel in skills and technology.
Sasa mwanaume akipigionga na mpango wa kando, siji utoto inatokanga wapi? Alikuwa ametulia vizuri, simu inapigwa naitoa. Unasikia? Recho. Halo Recho. Kata nikupigie.
Umeweka alarm ya saa 11 5 in the morning, unatoka job 5, unalala saa 5 usiku. Are we 5 in this relationship?
There is Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Charles Njonjo. Name any other sir that you know.
Hiyo hukusoma?
Eh?
Samosa.
Ndio.
When it comes to pimple care, Acne's Creamy Wash contains multiple vitamins and removes excessive oil and dirt. Acne's Toner rejuvenates skin. Acne's Sealing Gel fights bacteria. Use Mentholatum Acne's for clear and smooth skin every day.
Okay, unataka kumaanisha tutashinda hapa the whole day?
Hii gate imeongeza weight.
Hapa ndio ulikuja kutafuta mtoto? Hapana.
Ndugu yangu hapa Alwale, watu walisema kwamba yeye ni kipofu, ati haoni akitoka NASA. Tangu tumpeza macho, si mumeona?
Mimi nachukua na peleka yote kwa typing kwa computer. Unajua computer?
Mimi najua tu charanga.
Hey. Unajua wakale kwa runway wakasema ladies and gentlemen introducing Jepto.
You wake up early to go seek higher learning. That's good. But understand that the value in the job market is determined by your skill set, and your skill set is dependent on the training you receive. At Amboseli Institute of Hospitality and Technology, we take your future seriously. We produce highly skilled graduates in hospitality, tourism, fashion, and design. Think quality. Think future. Think Amboseli Institute. Enroll today.
This is NTV.
It's time for NTV Tonight, live from the Nation Center here in Nairobi. Let's look at the top stories from around the country.
Tonight, the second phase of the eviction is underway.
Wakaniamrisha nitoke before saa 10.
Lawyers rush to court, politicians push their agenda.
The cabinet has not made a decision on eviction of anybody.
Plus, wanted tycoon does not want to be arrested. Punjani files for anticipatory bail while in India. And Safaricom dials the communications authority over Airtel Telcom deal. Safaricom calling for a debt to be cleared first. Also tonight, Kenyan-owned businesses among those destroyed in South Africa. Nigerians launch revenge attacks against South African firms in Lagos.
These attacks are completely against the rule of law.
NTV Tonight with Masai.
Thank you for joining us on NTV Tonight. Our sign language interpreter is David Agundoa. And topping our focus for the last 3 days now is Mau Forest, whose conservation is usually a polarizing topic, and once again the politics of it has flared up. NTV's Vincent Oduor reports on the political resistance in the way of government policy and how it retraces familiar lines in the history of the Mau Forest restoration.
The debate on the destruction and the conservation of the Mau Forest has always been rich fodder for politicians in the region. And with the looming evictions, they are at it again.
That is not President Uhuru Kenyatta's position. That is not the government of Kenya position. That was a personal position of Keriako Tobiko and the RC Natembea. The cabinet has not made a decision on eviction of anybody, neither does the government of Kenya believe under the Jubilee administration that citizens should be evicted.
Because the community gave you these positions because they've got interest. How far have you gone or utilized the position to address the challenges that the people are facing? I have never seen Deputy President waking up in the morning and visiting the people of Mau. We only wait until the last day when there is election.
The Mau Forest issue seems to be a rallying point for Rift Valley politicians during the Grand Coalition government when ODM leader Raila Odinga was the Prime Minister. Deputy President William Ruto, who was then Eldoret North Member of Parliament, fought his efforts to conserve the Mau.
If government is going to engage in acts of lawlessness, in arson against its own citizens, what business do citizens have respecting the law
Ruto leveraged on the Mau restoration in the 2013 general election to campaign against Odinga in Rift Valley, portraying him as the face of the violent eviction and accused him of delaying the resettlement of the affected families. In 2016, Raila Odinga confessed he lost the Rift Valley votes, largely because his opponents used the controversial Mau Forest debate against him. 6 years later, and as the 2022 general election beckons, the Mau Forest subject now looms ominously over the deputy president, who now faces a tough balance. Will he help enforce government policy and derail his presidential ambitions? The deputy president last pronounced himself on the Mau restoration about a year ago.
Sisi tunaelewa vilivyo umuhimu wa mambo ya Mau, umuhimu ya water towers katika taifa letu la Kenya sehemu zote, na tuko na mpango ya kutosha kuhakikisha ya kwamba tatizo hilo tunatatua.
Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, who is also eyeing the presidency and who's teamed up with a number of former and current leaders to undermine the deputy president's influence in the region, only recently came out in defense of the families targeted for eviction, saying any restoration efforts should be done in a humane way. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Well, let's stay clear of the political divisions and interests and get the picture on the ground. Once a lush greenery covering some 46,000 hectares, the Masai Mau forest is now a shadow of its former self. The irregular allocation of land and the illegal settlements over time have been chipping away at its magnificence. The cost of the environmental degradation has been steep, and as efforts to restore it to its lost glory continues, it will take years before the forest heals from the destruction, as Zainab Ismail found out.
The allure of the canopy on the fringes of the vast Mau forest depicts its splendor, lush and green. But adjacent to this magnificence, the massive destruction at the heart of East Africa's largest water tower lies in plain sight. This is what is left of a struggling forest, replenishing itself 1 year after the first phase of the Mau forest evictions.
We are able to to recover some 4,500 hectares of Masai Mau forest. That is close to 12,000 acres. And that area is being rehabilitated. We have already planted over 125 acres of bamboo. The entire forest is also healing.
Well, the evictions are supposed to pave way for the rehabilitation of the 46,000-hectare Masai Mau forest, which is one of the 22 blocks in the Mau complex.
The remains of what used to house families here slowly filling with thickets and young trees. About 7,700 people are forced out of the forest land in the first phase.
The boundaries of the Masai Mau forest are very clear. They are marked with beacons. The beacons are visible, and the communities are very aware. And if you can look even from our aerial view, you could clearly see the areas where it is outside the forest area and the area where people have settled in the forest land. There are no permanent structures in the areas where people have settled in the forest. And basically that is, tells very clearly that the community is very much aware of the boundary. And all along, as we ask them, they are the ones even who tell us the beacon is here. A beacon was removed there. The other beacons that is still existing is there. So they are very much aware of the boundaries. It is not anything on contention.
And despite the constant resistance, the government now hopes to replenish some 9,000 hectares after a second round of evictions. This time, however, more families are slowly heeding to the call by the government and are moving out. Their homes are now skeleton structures.
Tunatoka tu kando, walisema tutoke kando. Barabarani, mtatukuta tu barabarani pale. Mwisho wa mali wanasema. Tuko na matitle, Tokyo meni yote yenye wanataka iko naye, lakini wanasema ni fake. Sijui wanataka ya gold kama pesa.
From the upper catchment area emanates the Ewasongiro River that flows to Lake Natron in Tanzania, and the Mara River, which comes from the western part of the forest. But the security and ecological challenges being experienced now are perhaps the culmination of intricately interwoven historical, political, negative changes in the culture of forest dwellers, corruption, misuse of power, and greed, a deadly mix left to degenerate over the last 40 years. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
From those aerial shots, we'll get back to the ground on the operation that is to evict people and how it's been going on. This is the third day that's been going on, and Olive Bearers has been following it since Monday, and we'll be getting to that, the details of that in a bit. From the courts, Mombasa Tycoon Ali Punjani, who is wanted on suspicion of drug trafficking, is now seeking the court's protection against his imminent arrest. Punjani, who was reportedly in India for treatment, has filed for an anticipatory bail against his arrest, saying the arrest warrant amounted to harassment. Mel Miendo tells us more.
Just 3 weeks after detectives raided Mombasa Tycoon's Ali Punjani's posh house in Nyali, his lawyers have now moved to court seeking an application to stop his arrest when he arrives at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Punjani, who is being sought over drug trafficking, filed for an anticipatory bail in the Mombasa High Court through his lawyer, Jared Magolo. The application, as seen by NTV, states that no charge has been preferred or any reasons given for the threat and arrest of Ali Punjani, adding that his premises were searched and nothing was recovered. Punjani now claims that the arrest warrant amounted to harassment. The tycoon was reported to have undergone an open heart surgery at the Asian Heart Institute in India early last month, was expected back in the country on the 26th of August 2019. Police officers in Mombasa say Punjani would be arrested immediately he touches down to answer to the allegations. Police who raided his Nyali mansion found no hard drugs in the home. They, however, arrested his wife, 24-year-old Nepalese Karki Sushmi, alongside 2 men of Nepalese and Indian origin. Also arrested were 2 of Punjani's house workers. The court, however, released the 5 after the prosecution lacked solid evidence to prefer charges against them. Punjani was a close associate of the Akasha family, whose 2 brothers, Bakhtash and Ibrahim, were sentenced to 25 years imprisonment in New York after they were convicted of drug trafficking in East Africa and in the United States. It is, however, unclear when Punjani will be back in the country and whether the arrest warrant issued against him will be lifted. Mel Miendo, NTV.
To operational affairs at the county level, governors and members of the county assembly have convened a meeting this Friday in a final push to force the government to give in to their demands for more money. The Council of Governors Chair, Wycliffe Oparanya, says they were also contemplating sending all their workers home as they could no longer pay them. NTV's political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi with the details.
66 days into the new financial year 2019-2020, and counties are still waiting for Parliament to give a way forward on the Division of Revenue Bill.
Kuanzia mwezi wa Julai, hakuna pesa yoyote ambayo imekuja kwa county. Sasa county tuko kwa standstill kwa mambo ya pesa. Tukifika katikati ya mwezi huu, kama hakuna pesa, mpaka tuambie wale ambao wanafanya kazi, afadhali muende nyumbani, mupumzike, murudi wakati tutakuwa na pesa.
Efforts by a joint mediation committee of members of the Senate and National Assembly have failed to give a solution on how much money should go to counties in their previous 5 meetings, complicating the situation for counties that have been left with little to run essential services. Senate is stuck at 335 billion shillings, while the National Assembly, speaking with the same tone as the national government, insists counties should just take what is available at the moment, which is 316 billion shillings. Governors say the crisis is only getting worse, and there seems to be no end in sight. It is thus thinking of newer ways of exerting pressure on government to yield to their cries.
Ijumaa wiki hii tuna mkutano mkubwa kule Nairobi ambao tutakutana na wale representatives wa members of the county assemblies Kenya mzima na magovernors wote kuongea mambo ya ukatusi initiative.
However, the government seems less concerned. Deputy President William Ruto, who chairs the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, says governors are to blame for the current situation in counties, as they have not been open to discussion since negotiations on the shareable revenue started in January this year.
Nilimwambia Bwana Oparanya kwamba mambo ya ugavi wa pesa tumalizie kwa kamati ya IPEC. Yeye akanieleza hapo na mbinu nyingine. Sasa unaona sasa inaendelea. Sasa hiyo mbinu nyingine na mimi nilimpatia advice.
Some counties have witnessed strikes from staff demanding their dues, with governors warning of similar scenes if the situation is not resolved by 16th September. The mediation committee resumes sittings on Wednesday 11th after senators failed to show up at the last meeting. Kennedy Muredi, NTV.
Teachers in Turbi, Marsabit County are calling on the government to deploy security agencies in order for schools to reopen for the third term. Pupils in Turbi and Forole are yet to report to school due to the insecurity that has been witnessed in the region.
Turbi town in Marsabit County is deserted. On Monday, heavily armed militia stormed the town and started shooting randomly at local residents. The incident triggered panic in the area. Schools reopened on Monday, but majority of pupils did not turn up because of insecurity. When NTV visited Turbi Primary School, an eerie silence greeted us. The sight of the empty classrooms is disheartening. Only a handful of pupils can be spotted in some classes. Turbi Nomadic Girls School is also deserted.
Having a police station around this place does not mean the security is granted. In fact, there are so many instances since last year, 2018, where gunmen are seen behind the school compound.
Their fears may be warranted because both teachers and learners have on several occasions had to run for their lives as gunshots resound in the air.
Having 400 children in this place and saying that the 2 policemen can give enough security, it can't be possible. Maybe we have to be given enough security.
The never-ending conflict in this region has undermined education. For now, learners will have to find alternative engagement. The return of normalcy may be a long time coming.
To environmental concerns now, the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, is investigating how tons of dead fish washed up on the banks of the Athi River. NEMA says the fish could have been dumped there to fuel the malicious campaign against them despite their efforts to clean up the Nairobi and Athi rivers. The agency says the absence of a carcass of any other animal species was also suspect, and it is unlikely that there were that many fish in the river. NEMA has collected the water samples to determine the level of toxins and to find the possible source. The samples have been taken to the government chemists for analysis, and the results are expected in 7 days. From that fishy story to a break, but coming up. No, this is not a wedding. Gatanga sub-county in Murang'a is looking to the skies for help to fight illicit brew. Details after this short break.
Wake up in the morning, time to get it.
How do you re-energize?
You're gonna make it. Just take a sip.
How about a Yola?
It's energy for this. Take a sip.
Available in 4 flavors, Yola is a cereal milk drink packed with vitamins and minerals that is suitable for all ages and guaranteed to give you a burst of energy in every sip. Yola, power up your day.
Mama, how can I be a champion runner?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha ball. Stay strong and go so far.
Be strong and last long. Like geisha.
Welcome to Turkana University College. Turkana University is a center of research, innovation, and technological development for advancement of the society. The university is located in the vast resource-rich county of Turkana. We offer unique competency-based training in schools of sciences, business and economics, education and TVET training. Apply now for our January, May and September intakes for postgraduate degree and diploma certificate in the following programs: environmental sciences, business administration, environmental health, human evolution biology, renewable energy and technology, education, development studies and social work, information technology, public administration and management, agriculture, early childhood development, ECDE, water technology, marine sciences, petroleum studies, among other courses. Turkana University, the cradle of knowledge. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
The Aerial Assurance Challenge.
Asante sana. Sasa, ni nini kingine ambacho unaweza kumfanyia msichana wetu?
Kila kitu. Hata kufua nguo na Aerial mpya.
Basi, tuonyeshe.
Hey, sasa fanya hayo madoa yawe sugu zaidi. Sasa tufue kwa kutumia sabuni yako na kutumia Aerial mpya. Aerial sasa inapatikana kwenye pakiti mpya. Unaniamini sasa? Aerial huondoa madoa sugu mwisho mmoja tu.
Sometimes, it's not important what the truth is. What's important is how it seems. I can't do this anymore.
I can't accept the fact that you're turning your back on me because of a woman who ruined your life.
I've always preferred unhappiness to completely empty happiness. Faria, I want to marry you.
I came back to you again.
I don't want you.
Let's get divorced. You can go anywhere that you want to.
One simple misunderstanding was enough for us. Goodbye.
I'm not doing this with you now. I will break your heart.
How are you going to break it when it's already broken? People sometimes want to be loved. I loved you, Karai.
Welcome back, and we go back to our top focus, which is the battle to reclaim the Mau forest, where families have already started moving out of the forest. Many of them claim the government seems to have gone back on an earlier assertion that they had 60 days to move out. The government disputes their claims. Olive Burrows is there, and she joins us live. Olive, what more do we know?
Well, Mark, where do I start? Well, after we finished up with the Muruadikiri Member of Parliament, that is Johanna Ngeno, at the Narok Police Station, we made our way into the Maasai Mau to establish whether the 15 schools the government said should continue operations for duration of the respite, that is 60 days, are operational, and whether there's school children in class. What we established was they're not, and according to their parents, according to the residents we spoke to, it's because they're living in fear, a sense of limbo. As you'll see in the report that will come up not too long, you hear the parents saying, when I'm walking down the road and I encounter this entourage or, this horde of Kenya Forest Service officials, I feel intimidated. Now, how do our children feel? So we visited 2 schools and they were cleared out. There were no students at all, no teachers. Those were the 2 schools we managed to visit, and according to residents, only 1 school managed to open today, with 15 out of the 700 who are enrolled in that particular school. Now, as we explored, I don't know whether explored is the right word, but as we went about trying to find out, establish exactly how far the evictions exercise is concerned in terms of how many people have voluntarily moved out of the Masai Mau, we encountered a large number of Kenya Forest Service officers coming out of a homestead. Of course, our curiosity was piqued, and we stopped, went to the homestead and tried to find out what they were doing there. And the lady we found there, she had her son in her arms, and she told us that she was given 2 hours to pack up and leave. Now, we thought that was we didn't really know what to think of it at the time. We thought maybe it's an exceptional story. It's only a one-off. Maybe she's exaggerating. Maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about, or maybe she's driving some agenda. But when we went further down into the Maasai Mara, we encountered many people on motorbikes, with donkeys, with a lot of mabati. Mark, I know what I mean, and that is the iron sheet roofing, carrying it and moving out people on tractors, people on just all sorts of vehicles, making their way out of the Maasai Mara. So when we stopped to ask them, what has motivated you to move? We thought maybe they tell us, the government has convinced them of their position that they need to move out in the interest of conservation. But they echoed the initial sentiment we got from the lady with her son in her arms, and they said they came into our homes. They told us we have only 2 hours to get out of the Maasai Mara, and at that time it was about 2 p.m. So the time they were required to be out of there was 4 p.m. So before I give away too much, here's that report. Agents of terror
walikuja wakapiga nduru, toa vitu. Sasa wanapiga nduru, wanakuchapa. Hata kuna mtu mwenye alichapa huyu.
Kuna wasukari walikuja kuchapa mzee wangu, na nilikuwa nyumba yangu, akakuja kupomoa mabati na kuchapa mzee wangu.
Or of deception.
Nimeuliza, serikali imesema wametupatia 60 days waongee. Akasema hapana, tunatumia sheria yenye inatoka juu. Hiyo hatujui.
Walikuja kama wangapi?
Wengi kama 40, na wamepepa masilaha, wamepepa bunduki, wamejihami na wanaharasi sana. Nasema 2 hours tutoke, la sivyo watanipata na nitaona cha mtema kuni.
A bold-faced lie. That is what the residents of Sierra Leone in the Maasai Mara say of the government promise to give them 60 days to clear out. They say the Kenya Forest Service officers are behaving like goons, forcing them to bring down their homes and leaving their schools empty.
Alienda mpaka huko shule, si watoto wakakimbia karibu waingie kwa.
The same route that I'm using, the same route that the students are using, the pupils are using, is the same route that the askaris are patrolling. So you can imagine if an adult person like me and these other guys fear, crossing themselves with askaris or bypassing themselves with askaris, how about a young innocent kid?
Malforest families are vexed by what they say is a two-faced government that promised 2 months of respite while allegedly wielding a campaign of terror. They claim they had 2 hours to pack up a lifetime.
Walikuja hapa kwangu, wakaniamrisha nitoke before saa 10. Leo.
Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko, however, disputes their claims. He says KFS officers are under strict instructions not to forcibly enter homes. He says those leaving have been doing so voluntarily. Now they've packed up their valuables, that is the iron sheets on their roofs, carried them on their backs, their household wares piled up high on their beasts of burden. Even tractors served the purpose, as did the nothing is impossible to carry border.
Tunajiuliza sasa tuko na serikali gani? Na tulipigia uhuru wakati walikuja wakatuambia nini? Mpige hiyo kura caveat zimetolewa.
Olive Barrows, NTV. Well, there you have it, Mark, not from my mouth, but from their mouths. Their experience with the eviction exercise as it has gone on so far, saying the government promised us 60 days. We are being given now 2 hours to pack up a lifetime of worth of belongings and memories, Mark. Now, I know the Environment CS, Keriako Tobiko, has disputed that report, but I will say that I saw them in a homestead with my 4 eyes, together with my camera person, Wambwe Kurema, a Nation reporter, as well as our driver. So it'll be a hard or a tough call for me to be convinced that they did not or have not entered homesteads.
Very unfortunate, that line there, 2 hours to pack up a lifetime. It remains with you. Thank you very much, Olive Barrows and Wamboye Kurema, for giving us the true picture on the ground, regardless what the government is saying. And indeed, the reportage will continue to make sure that this activity is carried out in a humane manner. Now, in many villages around the country, the backyard brew is something to die for. Actually, quite literally for some. But the government, keen to stop the occasional deaths from this drink with an unusual recipe, is taking the war on illicit brew to the dugout. And in Murang'a, they are looking to the skies for help. Charity Mwangi has the details.
The heavy government presence was announced by the fuel guzzlers that rumbled past on the earth paths, cutting through the Gatanga sub-county in Murang'a. The excitement will be revealed test weapon against a crime that has for long troubled the Mount Kenya region.
Jukumu letu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba uhalifu aina ya uraibu ya pombe haramu imeisha katika kaunti ya Murang'a.
What followed was utter amazement as the gadget took flight.
Hii drone iko na kamera ya 4K na iko na screen. Hii screen iko na pilot hapa. Anarusha hii ikiwa na hii kamera ambayo you can adjust, you can tilt, you can twist, you can turn. Inaenda 10 kilometers away from the pilot. Ichukue kamera na inaweza kuzoom hata ikakupatia sura ya mtu ama sehemu pombe haramu inapikiwa.
The new technology will, however, still involve the same old methods and police strategy to bring forth results.
Ukirusha juu na umeona ya kwamba kwa screen kuna sehemu inataka kuangaliwa, tunawasiliana kwa simu. Hawa vijana ambao unawaona hawa wanateremuka kama umeme mara moja huko. Tunawasiliana na simu kwenda hivi, kwenda left, kwenda right mpaka wafikie mahali hiyo kitu iko ama huyo mtu ako kama hajakimbia. Akikimbia watafukuzana naye.
And the gadget has already recorded some victories.
Jana tulipata wahalifu 5 na tukapata lita kadhaa ya chang'aa wameenda kotini.
So far, up to 58 arrests have been made, and with the new technology, the security personnel expect a full eradication of the vice. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
What a high solution to illicit brew. Hopefully the sales of slingshots, or what we used to call fairs, won't go up in the near future as a counter to this move by the authorities. Now, early explorers to the Hell's Gate National Park thought the narrow but scenic gorge in the steep cliffs resembled an entrance to hell. But now residents living near the park think it is truly living up to its deathly moniker. This is after unpredictable flash floods yet again swept up 7 people.
Way before its formal establishment in 1984 as one of the national parks of Kenya, Hell's Gate already had a reputation as one of the marvels of the Rift Valley, the name itself adding to the sense of notoriety that keeps drawing visitors here in droves. That name is now a thorn in the flesh of those who neighbor the park.
Ambayo imetusumbua sana. The last 7 years ago, watu wetu 7 walibebwa na maji. Na ni kwa sababu ya jina ambayo sijui ilipewa na nani, ati ni Hell's Gate, mlango wa shetani. Hiyo ni mbaya.
This park was first baptized Hell's Gate in 1883 by 2 explorers, Fisher and Thompson. The inspiration, a narrow break in the cliffs that lead into the gorge. But others have since given various sections of the gorge even more bizarre names. For instance, there is a Devil's Bedroom.
Devil's Bedroom because of so many shelves that you get there. And at the end, it looks like a bed.
And the Devil's Shower.
From the Devil's Shower, you get that particular medicinal water where you can shower. It's said not good for drinking, but it's nice for the shower. I mean for the skin diseases.
The devil also gets a place to prepare his meals in this gorge, hence Hell's Kitchen.
There you can put the eggs, boil the eggs, and when you boil the eggs, you leave your eggs there.
While the names may excite those who visit here, those who reside around say these nominal tags are harbingers of bad tidings. In the last decade, 15 people have lost their lives in the gorge, victims of flash floods occasioned by heavy rains upstream. The latest victims losing their lives this last Sunday. The residents now want a name change.
Kuna jina ambayo tulimpatia kama wa Maasai. Hapa inaitwa Orbarara.
Hiyo inamaanisha nini?
Orbarara inamaanisha mahali ambayo ni sack. It's a sack place. It's a Masai sack place. Condo and sack place.
The park's management seems reluctant to institute that change, instead insisting that the park and the power generating plant upstream must streamline their operations to ensure that visitors to the gorge can receive warnings on time in instances of flash floods in the area. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Makes you think what your response should be when someone calls you Saitan. I mean, we laugh at it, but there's a lot that's in a name. Thank you to Brenda for that story. Now to politics, and the ODM party now says the nomination for its flag bearer in the Kibera by-election is on this Saturday, setting the stage for a political duel with the Jubilee party. But even as the party puts final touches on its preparations, Jubilee candidate footballer McDonald Mariga is mired in fresh controversy after one of the aspirants who was seeking the Jubilee ticket challenged his nomination. NTV's Silas Apollo has the latest in the battle for Kibera.
In a communication made through its official Twitter handle today, the ODM party now insists that all is set for its nomination slated for Saturday, contrary to an earlier communication that indicated that the exercise would be postponed. Reports had hinted at a possibility of the party opting for a consensus to pick a candidate owing to time constraints and the large number of candidates. But the party now says it is ready to conduct the exercise, adding that materials for the vote are ready and that the party members should carry their identity cards to the voting centers. ODM has 11 candidates to choose from in the Saturday primaries. Jubilee, on the other hand, is in market territory after one of the aspirants who had sought the party's ticket asked the party to disqualify footballer McDonald Mariga from the race. Maurice Peter Kinyanjui says in a letter addressed to Jubilee National Elections Board that Mariga is not only a non-resident of Kibera but has never been registered as a voter. But Jubilee Election Board Chairman Andrew Musangi defended their decision to pick Mariga and the process used to select him out of 15 others. He further insists that he is indeed a registered voter. The Kibera race has been touted as a do or die for the ODM party and its leader Raila Odinga after it lost in previous by-elections in Ugenya and Embakasi South. Pundits are of the opinion that whichever party wins the seat, be it Jubilee or ODM, will have better bragging rights ahead of the 2022 elections. Other candidates in the race are from the ANC, DP and Ford Kenya parties. Silas Apollo, NTV.
The story we've been following from the continent. 2 Kenyan nationals are among those caught up in the violence that has swept up parts of South Africa. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it's monitoring the situation there and has reached out to Kenya's High Commission to ensure the safety of all Kenyans in the southern African nation. Meanwhile, a number of South African companies have closed their outlets in Nigeria after protesters in Lagos attacked South African businesses there.
The Kenyan High Commission in South Africa says the 2 Kenyans are among victims of arson, looting and physical attacks in the ongoing xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
These attacks are completely against the rule of law.
Just like other African nations, Kenya has expressed concern over the attacks. Foreign Affairs CS Monica Juma, in a tweet, said the violence went against the ethos and values of Pan-Africanism. She hopes these will prevail over narrow nationalism and be the bonds that glue Africans together as brothers and sisters. The Kenyan High Commission has since reached out to the affected individuals and encouraged them to respond to the instructions and calls by the South African police to report and open files regarding all incidents. The attacks that flared up earlier in the week have seen business persons lose property worth millions of shillings, as South African authorities confirm that 5 people have been killed in the violence in Gauteng province, which hosts the cities of Johannesburg and the capital Pretoria. South African police have arrested 189 people following several days of xenophobic violence. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, in a video address broadcast on Twitter, said the attacks were totally unacceptable and cannot be allowed to happen in South Africa. Attacks have mainly taken place in large cities, but they have also been reported in smaller towns and rural areas. The violence is often triggered by local disputes, with migrants being accused of taking jobs away from South Africans. While Nigeria has summoned its South African ambassador, Zambia has cancelled an international friendly football match, which was slated for Lusaka next weekend against South Africa. African Union Commission Chairperson Musa Faki condemned the violence in the strongest terms, but said he was encouraged by arrests already made by the South African authorities. Nigerian artist Tiwa Savage has cancelled a scheduled performance in South Africa in protest. Meanwhile, more than 100 demonstrators clashed with police near a South African-owned supermarket in the Nigerian capital as resentment simmered over attacks on foreign-owned shops in South Africa. Police in Nigeria had to beef up security around South African businesses after protesters attacked a supermarket chain ShopRite in Abuja. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Let's take a break now as Julian Zamboko is eager to mind your business. Some of the stories coming up. Safaricom explains why it's concerned about the Airtel Telkom merger.
The University of Nairobi is receiving applications for the September 2019 intake. Interested applicants should apply online at application.uonbi.ac.ke. Choose a course from its diverse market-driven and internationally recognized programs in undergraduate, postgraduate and fellowship programs in arts, business, economics, journalism and mass communication, law, education, project planning and management, computer science, medicine, among many others. For more detail, visit our website www.uonbi.ac.ke. The University of Nairobi, a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
When you sign up for autocorrect from Heritage Insurance, we will install a telematics device in your vehicle. You will also enjoy rewards by accumulating points for good driving. You can save up to 15% of your insurance premium. Autocorrect from Heritage. For more, SMS autocorrect to 22922 or visit autocorrect.heritageinsurance.co.ke.
Kenya Bandozo headquarters has moved from the IKM place, which was on Ngong Avenue, to Barabara Plaza. And the purpose of moving is just to offer more efficient and effective services. This is just one-stop shop for our customers in the road subset.
Visit us at Barabara Plaza off Mombasa Road opposite KCAA, Airport South Road, JKIA. Or get us at www.kura.go.ke. Kenya Urban Roads Authority, delivering efficient and safe urban road network.
Crazy without your friends. Drink Fanta. Taste fun.
NTV Business News in association with the University of Nairobi.
Let's get down to business. Welcome. I am Julian Amboko. Now, the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has put nearly 500,000 companies and institutions on the spot for holding more than 241 billion shillings, which should be disbursed to its rightful owners. The authority says the institutions, which include banks, SACCOs, pension schemes and utility firms, have only reported and submitted 13.1 billion shillings of cash and 564 million units of shares to the authority to date. The authority says more than 440,000 institutions are still holding onto assets which belong to members of the public who may be unaware that they ought to be given back their property. Kenyans have been encouraged to check whether they are listed as claimants by going to the authority's website, that is www.ufaa.go.ke, or by querying via SMS using the text code *361#. There is no law as yet stipulating the companies holding onto Kenyan assets without their prior knowledge are obligated to give them back within a specified time frame, failure to which there will be penalties imposed on them. And a day after the Telkom Kenya accused Safaricom of undermining its joint venture with Airtel, Safaricom has fleshed out issues it would like resolved by the Communications Authority of Kenya if the joint venture between Airtel and Telkom Kenya is to be given the green light. Here are the details.
Now, we have no quarrel with our colleagues at Safaricom. We are simply trying to restructure and improve our own businesses. It is unfortunate, however, that Safaricom now wants to delay this process that seeks to provide customers with credible options. Does the dominant player not want to see this sector grow?
That was the Chief Executive Officer of Telkom Kenya, Mugo Kibati, on Tuesday. And a day later, Safaricom has stepped out to raise the issues it would like to be ironed out before the deal is allowed to sail through. In a statement from the Chief Executive, Michael Joseph, Safaricom says the first issue at hand is the settlement of a debt of 1.3 billion shillings owed by Airtel and Telkom for services provided including interconnection, co-location and fiber services. The second issue, Safaricom says, is the need to rebalance the allocation of frequencies. Safaricom says that if the joint venture becomes a reality, Airtel Telkom will jointly hold 77.5 megahertz of spectrum against a customer base of 17.3 million compared to its own 57.5 megahertz of spectrum with a customer base of 31.8 million. These issues threaten to throw a spanner in the works for the proposed joint venture, which is currently being held in abeyance pending the completion of the investigation by multiple agencies. And we'll be keeping tabs on that story to see how that unfolds. And the insurance industry made a net profit of 3.5 billion shillings, a 61.6% dip from the 9.2 billion shillings it made in 2017. The massive dip in profitability came on the back of growth which slowed down last year to 3% compared to 6.5% the previous year. According to a report by the Association of Kenya Insurers, the industry's gross written premiums grew to 261 billion shillings, up 3.1% from the previous year. Overall, insurance penetration dipped to 2.4% from 2.7% in 2017. Non-life insurance accounted for 59.6% of the total premium, while life insurance accounted for 40.4%. And a task force formed by Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya to protect the assets and identify ways of reviving the ailing Mumias Sugar Company has recommended fresh leadership at the company to address corruption and mismanagement. Okota reports on the latest efforts to put the miller, which has a potentially huge benefit on the economy of the Western region, back on its feet.
After 4 months of fact-finding and unearthing, it was time for the 15-member task force to share its findings.
During the term of our work, we also discovered that there were corruption cases in Mumias Sugar Company. And the corruption cases, Your Excellency, touch on raw nerves.
Where said the report was in two folds, with the first part highlighting the revival strategy of the sugar factory and the second part addressing the malpractices.
We have quite a number of legal issues in Mumias, and the malpractice that took place formed part of our situation analysis.
Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, who appointed the task force on May 31st this year, promised drastic action against the perpetrators of graft at the company.
We will work closely with the Director of Criminal Investigation to ensure that corrupt cases at Mumias Sugar Company are investigated, recovery of lost resources brought back to salvage the company.
The launch of the report comes at a time when the taxman has issued a notice to bankers restricting financial transactions from accounts associated with the sugar miller in a bid to recover 10 billion shillings in unpaid taxes.
Tungependa kuambia Uhuru Kenyatta ya kwamba kama unataka kutusaidia, ambia KRA hiyo deni yao sisi hatutalipa, wa write off hiyo deni, Mumias ianze upya.
Kuko na assets za hizi factory ambazo sasa auctioneers wanataka kuuza kwa sababu ya madeni.
It has been more than a year since smoke last billowed from the chimneys here at Mumias Sugar Factory. It is the wishes of sugarcane farmers and stakeholders here that these latest attempts by the county government of Kakamega to revive the factory will restore the sweetness in the sugar industry. Okusa NTV in Mumias.
And away from Mumias, 4 months after Equity Group Holdings entered a deal to widen its regional footprint by acquisitions in Zambia, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Rwanda, the group has acquired new talent to spearhead its expansion in the regional footprint. Equity has tapped into John Wilson from the International Finance Corporation to serve as its group chief operating officer and lead digitization and regional expansion efforts. Prior to his appointment, Wilson served as IFC's head of financial institutions in East and Southern Africa. His appointment comes at a time when banks are scouting for regional opportunities to cushion against the harsh domestic economic environment. Meanwhile, the group has deployed up to 12 billion shillings towards sponsorship of over 500 students through its Equity Leaders program. Bite.
When you look at the numbers, 24 from the top students in the country, 16 are wings to fly, and the small balance is the county-based students.
And the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, is pushing for the establishment of collective bargaining mechanisms for the informal sector in order to improve the working conditions and social protection for the workers. In collaboration with the International Labour Organization, COTU is pushing for the review of Sessional Paper No. 2 of 2005, which it says has many gaps that have led to the sector's workers operating in deplorable conditions. The bargaining framework is set to enable those in the informal segment of the country's economy to grow their negotiating muscle and avoid being taken advantage of. The informal sector is said to provide livelihoods for an estimated 14 million Kenyans.
For those of you who visit the informal sectors like Komba, you see they work in those Juakali areas. There's no provision for roads, there's no provision for even simple facilities like toilets. So they go through very difficult conditions. So we are trying, together with our social partners, to see how we can improve the working conditions for the Juakali area.
And up next, we have the financial report.
NTV Business News in association with the University of Nairobi.
Interested applicants should apply online at application.uonbi.ac.ke. The University of Nairobi, a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
And that's business, but still ahead. Pope Francis lands in Mozambique for a 3-nation tour. Details of his latest Africa tour after the break.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because the tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection. And now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
Ukamwambia aje? Naye akakwambia aje? Na ulimjibu? Nani wanalia hapo nyuma? Ni mtoto. Usikate, mpatie simu. Hello, Junior. Okay. Patia mama simu.
Cheki usikate.
Usikate, ongea sana.
Usikate. Wakenya hapitwi na stories. Story bonus imerudi na madrama na mavideo. Ongea zaidi au ongeza bado skoleni yako. Ujipatie 200% story bonus plus 200 MB YouTube free kila siku.
Witinesa. Ona, lazima uone.
Usikate pata soroko.
Nawe kila wakati. Now you can get your Uber ride with a phone call. Call 0800 722 000 to ride. Nation FM. More music and less talk. Nairobi 96.3, Mombasa 101.5, Meru 93.9, Nyeri 104.9, Eldoret 102.7, and Nakuru on 97.7. Follow us on social media on Facebook at Nation FM, Instagram at Nation FM, and on Twitter at Nation FM KE. Nation FM. More music and less talk.
Welcome back, and we get a wrap from what's been happening in court, and one such court has banned live coverage of the divorce case between Meru Senator Mithika Linturi and his estranged wife Marianne Ketanyi. This is after some of the involved parties claimed they had received threats. Reporters will, however, be allowed to cover the proceedings as 16 witnesses line up to take the stand. Ketanyi has presented evidence in court in defense of her claims that she was indeed married to the senator who she now wants to divorce over claims of fraud. The matter was adjourned to the 24th of September. Elsewhere, other news from around the world. 4 years after his visit to Kenya, Pope Francis will once grace East Africa, and he is now in Mozambique. And in this particular issue, Madagascar as well and Mauritius, 3 countries riddled with poverty, torn by conflict and devastated by natural disaster. 3 months after Mozambican rebels signed a peace treaty deal, the Pope on his first stop is expected to address the country's fragile peace process, the devastation caused by 2 back-to-back cyclones earlier this year, and the upcoming general election. Elsewhere, Prime Minister Boris Johnson was dealt a blow after opposition MPs and Tory rebels won a vote yesterday, allowing them to take over Parliament and likely halt Brexit plans. On their first day back after summer holidays, the MPs voted in favour of seizing control of the parliamentary agenda to introduce a bill that would force Johnson to request a Brexit delay until January 31st, 2020. MPs have now backed a bill to block a no-deal Brexit, which could trigger Boris Johnson to seek a general election. Opposition MPs and Tory rebels ensured the bill passed its first stage. And finally, Hong Kong's leader announced the withdrawal of the loathed extradition bill that would have allowed criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China. Initial reports in the local media flagging Lam's announcement raised hope that giving in to the extradition demand could help end the crisis. Hong Kong's stock market climbed nearly 4% in the afternoon trade, but those hopes were quickly shattered, with pro-democracy activists voicing anger and determination to press on with their broader democracy campaign. Now we take another break for sports news with Brian Otwal up next. Some of the stories he's bringing your way. A brand new car awaits marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge if he breaks the under-2 barrier in Vienna, Austria next month.
Be a team player. The ability to interact with others in a courteous, approachable, and professional manner will enable you work well with fellow students and with fellow colleagues. September 2019 intake is ongoing for the following CBET courses: Simple Automation, Lathe Machine Operator, Manual Metal Arc Welding, among others. Apply now and enjoy reduced tuition fee. The Nyeri National Polytechnic. Excel in skills and technology.
Sometimes, it's not important what the truth is. What's important is how it seems. I can't do this anymore.
I can't accept the fact that you're turning your back on me because of a woman who ruined your life.
I've always preferred unhappiness to completely empty happiness. Faria, I want to marry you.
I came back to you again.
I don't want you.
Let's get divorced. You can go anywhere that you want to.
One simple misunderstanding was enough for us. Goodbye.
I'm not doing this with you now. I will break your heart.
How are you going to break it when it's already broken? People sometimes want to be loved. I loved you, Kurai.
Let's now play Welcome. My name is Brian Otwal. No human has limits. That is the motivation for Olympic and World Marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge, who will be making a second attempt to become the first human to run a full marathon in under 2 hours at the Ineos 159 Challenge in Vienna, Austria. If he is successful, Kipchoge, who is the Isuzu brand ambassador, will earn himself a brand new Isuzu single cab D-Max pickup. Eliud Kipchoge, who is the reigning world and Olympic champion as well as the current marathon world record holder, will once again bid to become the first human ever to run a sub-2 hour marathon.
I'm going to Vienna not to win, but to beat the time. I'm going to Vienna to inspire the whole generation. I'm going to Vienna to sell the idea no human is limited. I'm going to Vienna to inspire that human family.
Dubbed the Ineos 159 Challenge, the race, which is sponsored by global petrochemical company Ineos, is scheduled to take place on a flat 9.6-kilometer circuit in a shaded park known as the Prater in Vienna, Austria. The race is scheduled for Saturday 12th October, but there is an 8-day window up to October 20th where he could make the attempt should the weather not be ideal on the 12th.
I have a actually strong mentality that I can do it. That's what I have changed. But training, I'm training as normal as one coach, one management, same training mates, team mentality.
Back in 2017, a year after triumphing at the Rio Olympics, Kipchoge, in association with sports gear giant Nike, made the first attempt to run a marathon under 2 hours. He missed the mark by a mere 25 seconds at the Nike Breakthrough run in Monza, Italy. Despite the sub-2 hour marathon attempts not being sanctioned by the global governing body IAAF, Kipchoge believes they are a historic leap forward for mankind.
I think it will be the best one. We have somebody the first human being to go to the moon, the first person to climb Mount Everest, the first woman to go to the moon. So all of them are be done by machine, by the height of a machine, but this is a pure human being. So it is interesting.
As a further boost to his attempt, the 34-year-old has been promised a brand new Isuzu single cab D-Max pickup valued at 4.1 million shillings by Isuzu East Africa if he breaks the sub-2 hour marathon barrier.
We are so proud that we've been able to, as Isuzu East Africa, to create an environment where we can challenge ourselves to get to the best that we can be by listening to what Kipchoge has experienced.
Several pacemakers who will be pacing Kipchoge in the Ineos 159 Challenge were in attendance in Vienna this past weekend for pre-testing. They included the likes of 5,000 meters champion and Olympic medalist Bernard Lagat, as well as 5,000 meters Commonwealth Games champion Agustin Choge. All the best to Kipchoge there. Moving on, the national football team Harambee Stars trained for a third day ahead of Sunday's international friendly match against Uganda, which serves as a preparation for November's AFCON 2021 qualifiers. All players initially called up have checked in, with Ayub Timbe the latest to report this afternoon. Bandari's Brian Otieno and Wazito's Johnston Omurwa were called up in place of Joseph Okumu, who has not settled yet in Sweden following his move from MLS, and Bernard Ochieng, who has been ruled out through injury. The friendly match set to be played at the Kasarani Stadium will be the first match that head coach Francis Kimanzi presides on since taking over from departed Sebastian Minye.
Morali kwa juu, nafikiria sisi kama wachezaji tutaplay part yetu kutrain, na pia tunataka hiyo Sunday weekend ikifika mfano atokelezee atupe support kama kawaida yao, na sisi najua tutapatia result poa. Nayasema UG team poa, ni maniba wetu, but tukiangalia currently venye amekuwa kicheza poa, improve. Pia sisi nadhani pia tumefika kuna hizo step tumemake.
We just pray that they may come in large numbers to support us, and us as player we are promising to give our level best come on Sunday.
And Wazito FC were the most active club in the just concluded Kenyan Premier League transfer window, with the Moneybags having signed 20 players in a bid to bolster their squad for the 2019-2020 season. The KPL League returnees let go of 18 of the players they had at the National Super League to create space for big names making a return to the KPL, among them Abuba Sibomana, Karim Nzigimana and Ali Awondo. Sony Sugar, who had 24 of their players, among them leave the club last season due to unpaid salaries, signed 18 players, while fellow Sugar Millers Chemelil and Zoya Sugar signed 16 players each. Gor Mahia made two major signings in foreigners, Ghislaine Nyemien from Ivory Coast and Francis Afirie. Meanwhile, 14 players left the KPL to further their careers abroad, among them Harun Shakava, Cliff Nyakea and Francis Kahata. And all signs point to the Safari Rally making a return to the World Rally Championship in 2020, with the calendar expected to be released by the world governing body, the FIA, anytime from now. And as Sean Kadavilis reports, the National Rally Championship is ongoing, even as Kenya holds its breath, awaiting the FIA decision.
Anticipation is building for the expected return of the Safari Rally to the World Rally Championship calendar next year. The vision of seeing World Championship leader Oit Tanak, multiple world champion Sebastian Ogier, and rally legend Sebastian Loeb racing along the Rift Valley is about to become a reality after reports indicate that July Safari Rally, that was a candidate event, fulfilled all the requirements of the world governing body, the FIA. According to our sources, if the return of the Safari Rally to the WRC is confirmed, and when the 2020 calendar is released by the FIA, the patron of the Safari Rally WRC project, President Uhuru Kenyatta, will make the announcement. Incidentally, the FIA dropped the Safari Rally from the 2003 World Rally Championship calendar in October 17 years ago. For the local drivers, the Safari Rally being in the 2020 WRC calendar will be bittersweet, as priority will be given to factory teams, WRC and WRC seeded teams and competitors in continental championships. That means slots for local drivers are likely to be fewer. As the wait for the announcement regarding the Safari continues, the National Rally Championship is ongoing. Despite finishing second to Carl Flash Tundo at last weekend's KCB Nanyuki Rally, Safari Rally champion Baldev Chaga maintained his lead in the Kenya National Rally Championship with 123 points. Tundo lies second with 96 points, ahead of Africa Rally champion Manvir Barian, who has 91 points.
It's always harder by missing an event because you don't get any points. Look, unfortunately, the events are too close together for sort of our budget that we had. Also, I don't feel Mombasa put on a good event, in my personal opinion, of 20 years rallying. So I'd rather miss that and concentrate on the other rounds to come.
The next event in the championship is the Guru Nanak Rally in October, as local crews begin to focus on 2020 and a possible new dawn for Kenyan and African motorsports. Sean Carter-Villas, NTV.
We all can't wait for the WRC. Moving on, Nigeria's The Tigers have rounded off their FIBA World Cup group stage campaign with a resounding 108-66 win over South Korea, thereby keeping alive their hopes of securing their spot at the Tokyo Olympics as Africa's top-ranked side. Defeats against Russia and Argentina meant Nigeria could not qualify for the second round at the World Cup, but the Tigers have a chance to book an automatic slot for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics if they finish as the continent's top finisher in China. Meanwhile, Angola beat the Philippines 84-81 in overtime in a thrilling encounter. The two sides were tied 73 ups at the end of the fourth quarter, following a spirited fight back by the Philippines. But it was Angola who had the better of the overtime.
Bold, balance, authoritative.
Where are we headed as a country?
Every time we make a step forward, we do two backwards.
Any fool with huge amounts of money can be president of this country. It is no longer about service.
Why can't we move these people out and find somebody who can make?
But for now, have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otual. Mark, what do you make of Eliud Kipchoge's attempt for an under 2?
It is possible. I just think it's possible. And all I can hear is that song, Kipchoge, Kipchoge. Anyway, all the best to him. We're all behind him and support him and would love to have him set a human record, of course, first world record on this aspect. He's broken out the records himself, but we won't be surprised. That's it for NTV tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you to David Agondoa for the sign language interpretation. And on behalf of the team, thank you for making this all the more worth it. Have a good night.
This is NTV.